It's an untold story. It's a story that you don't learn about in the history books. It's a story that they're not teaching in the classrooms. And yet it is where the American Revolution was won, right here in our backyards.
I've thought about this many times. What was it that motivated a man to leave his home and walk for almost 2 weeks in order to chase down a British-led group and then to get my rifle and shoot at them? It took quite a bit of determination on their part, and also, I'm sure, fear of what might happen if they did not take this very dangerous duty, because Ferguson had threatened to come into their country and hang their leaders and to destroy their farms with fire and sword.
They were men and families that really settled the backcountry of what was, at that time, the frontier of the colonies. With the advance of the British and the threats made by Patrick Ferguson, it was not something they were going to sit around and wait to have happen.
By those early patriots, they came out of the mountains, ended up at Kings Mountain, and faced possible death in their effort to get rid of the enemy. It resulted in a victory for the Patriot side over Major Patrick Ferguson.
It was really the first victory in the Southern campaign that really spirited up the troops and the people of the backcountry to take up arms against the king.
Thomas Jefferson himself said that this was the turning point in the final outcome a year later. If it had not been for the victory at Kings Mountain, we very well could be speaking the King's English now instead of good old American. And the trail that was used is a significant part of that whole story. So we need to preserve it and to make sure that future generations know what happened there 200 and odd years ago.
The biggest challenge is the right-of-way, getting the people to agree to the trail and letting us build a trail in their property.
Legislation does not authorize the federal government to come in and take land.
The landowner is the only person that can actually give this gift for the rest of eternity, actually. That trail's going to be there.
We're up to 87 miles of certified trail. That's just a very small section. Our goal is to eventually have the 330 miles that these men marched on the ground that people can walk all the way from Abingdon, Virginia, and Wilkesboro, all the way down to Kings Mountain National Military Park.
I live on Laurel Creek, and I am willing to grant some easements for the pathways for the benefit of our family to use and everybody to use.
When the trail was established, it was basically established as a corridor of any property that's within a half a mile either side of what we know is the actual historic trail bed.
Well, I would encourage property owners to take a close look at this because of its importance from a standpoint of preserving history as well as scenic preservation.
Part of the requirements of becoming a certified section of the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail is that the owner agrees that that portion of the trail that can be utilized to help tell the story will be undeveloped.
As a property owner, I will be affected by the trails, and I have no fear of having a trail going by me. And I think the benefit to our family would be very useful to us, hiking, walking, bicycling. I think anything that you have that enhances the quality of life is part of a benefit to a lot of people. And so I don't know that there's a lot of negatives that I'm aware of.
And every person who uses that trail will be appreciative to the landowner for providing it.
I think the greatest benefit for an individual is really the legacy that leaves. The opportunity to provide for the future generations. But you know, sometimes it's just not the right thing for a particular landowner, and that's okay. That's why the corridor is a mile wide. It allows opportunities for people to engage or not engage. The bottom line is that we want everybody that's involved in this to come to this of their own will and knowing that this is their thing. To keep this story alive, the story of the Overmountain Men.